Right here cost us $11,000. That includes the cabinets, the upgraded granite, which is a Brazilian granite, and it cost us around $40 a square foot installed instead of $30. Then we had the backsplash, which is $7 square foot. It was normally $15, but I talked them down. The relationships that we built, it really helps us. So. And then, of course, the appliance package cost around $2,500. And then we had the hardware and then the lights, you know, you see the light systems and all that. We put those hanging little bubble glass lights over there. And you can see even here, they had travertine initially over here. And then, oh no, we got a leak over here, so we're going to have to come back. And someone broke this, so I didn't even notice this. So someone knocked this out, you know, which, you know, welcome to my world of Disney over here.
Hey, not everything can be perfect all the time, right?
No. So this was a flat roof that we had on here. It's a flat roof, and that's what's happening. We had a leak there. We thought we fixed it, and guess what? It's not fixed, so we got to come back and fix that.
Do we love flat roofs or what?
I hate flat roofs. Don't buy a house with a flat roof. And let me tell you, just this little part is a flat roof, and there's a product on the market that it's called Final Roof.
Final flat roof, right?
Final flat roof, and that final flat roof will take care of this problem. We thought we had it pinpointed. We didn't. We're going to come back and have to redo all this. So
too bad you didn't hear about final flat roof before you did the flat roof.
Yeah, exactly. Huh? I just found out about this, or else I would have done it on this one.
A little water.
The cost on the floors here were just, it's part of the tile package. This was probably $500–600, something like that.
Where's it dripping in?
House stuff.
It's dripping in here somewhere. It probably when it was really raining, it dripped in. So.
I need total though. We never established a total on the floors.
On the floors here, it cost $5,000. It was I think it was like a little over $3,000 for the materials, and I get this stuff for $2 a square foot. So that's really cheap. I mean, most people would pay a lot more. Again, with building relationships, you're going to get a better deal. So this was $2 a square foot. So it was somewhere around $3,400, and then about $1,600 for the installation. And our hardwood guys do it for about $1.25, $1.50. The max is $1.50. I would pay. And one of my contractors didn't want to do it, so I picked up the phone, called another guy. He came in and did it for $1 a square foot. But regularly, we pay about $1.25 to $1.50. That's a good deal. Most people probably will pay even $2, and that's okay. $2 a square foot is fine too. But it's about negotiating, about keeping your guys busy and stuff like that.
So basically, from what I get from you, we have a total of maybe $42,000.
$42,000, and then there's like a lot of little miscellaneous stuff, like all the hardware, you know, just the hardware, you know, the light fixtures. We didn't talk about the light fixtures. We spent around $48,000 to $49,000, almost $50,000 here. So you're talking normally your OOPS budget's going to be around $5,000. Don't forget, we also did some foundation work under here that we didn't talk about. That cost somewhere around $2,000. We had this whole back part of the house. It was opened up, and we jacked up the house, did some headers in there. We had some framing things that we did here too. Don't forget, when we blew out the walls, we had some framing and some wood and some labor costs. So you come up with labor and material on the things we talked about. These are the things that I didn't talk about. So it was around 48. But yeah, you say 41, 42. Our initial budget, believe it or not, was around 43. We hit around 48.5. So we did go over budget by about $5,000. usually a budget will go over by 10%. So if you budget 40,000, 10% of that's 4,000, so usually you hit 44. So give or take 10%, that's what you gotta kind of factor in for. That's why we'll do that oops budget of $5,000, $10,000, depending on the project. You know, I mean, if you have a carpet and paint job where you're not spending a lot of money, your labor's not high and all that, it's not gonna be 5,000 oops budget or 10,000. It might be 2,000. It might be 1,500. So it all depends.
Would you say that's also a reason that you don't follow the 70% rule when you're pricing out what you're going to pay for a property?
I do. LTV, loan to value, at 65. So you have to look at the comps in the neighborhood, and then even from the comps, let's say the comps are 300. I would start my numbers at 290 or 295 times 0.65, which is 65 loan to value of that, then minus the initial budget, and then you could even do a little oops, like 10% on that budget, and that will determine what your maximum allowable offer would be. So if you look at the numbers here, we thought we would sell this house for $329,900. We sold it for $325,000. So I did my numbers from actually 320, I remember. So 320 times 0.65 minus 43 should come around 163, 160. And that's what we got the house given in and around that price. So that's how we determined this, and we kept ourselves safe. We did pretty good on this house. If you work out the numbers, we did very well. Not all of them you're going to make 50, 60, 70. Most you won't. But when you take on a bigger project, sometimes the bigger projects give you more of a return. And this one was a little bit bigger of a project. By the way, we only were here for 5 weeks. This took everything you saw in this video, everything we've been talking about, took us 5 weeks. Why did it take me 5 weeks and most people would have took them 3, 4, 5 months? Is because I have the relationships with all the subcontractors and contractors. Number one, I use the same guys all the time, so I understand what they're capable of doing. I won't put a guy that's good at painting to do framing. I have framing guys for framing, painting guys for painting. So we don't mix and match and use handyman. We do everything right, and if something is broke, you have to fix it. And if you don't, then you become like every other rehabber. You know, Mickey Mouse builds a house, put tape and you know, hide everything and fudge everything out. And you don't want to be that guy. Your brand and your marketing, your name means everything, because when people go to buy your house, it has to be right. And even the guys we use, you saw a little leak here that we didn't know about. It's been raining for 5 days straight. So that's taken on some water. We'll have to come back retro and fix that. And so most people would just kind of, you know, just Mickey Mouse that even. But we'll come in, I'm going to put that stock, the flat roof, you know, final flat roof product on there. It's like glass, and they will not leak anymore. And it's expensive, but I'm willing to do it I'm willing to do it right and pay a little more up front than to try to Mickey Mouse it and then have to keep coming back. That's the worst thing you could do in doing this. Just do it right, save yourself a lot of headache. And trust me.
So touching on why your guys finish a lot quicker, how much of that do you think has to do with the way that you price out your work? Is it by the hour or is it by the job?
No, I never price out hourly. If you give somebody an hourly, they'll just linger around and collect an hourly paycheck every single week, lingering around. You want to price things by the job. If you have electrical, you price it electrical. If it's $3,000, it's $3,000, and you got to tell these guys, you got to lead them. You got to tell them, look, man, I got to get this done by next week. If you're not done by next week, man, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to pay you. So you got to be in control, and you got to lead your people. The first day is the most important day on a flip. The first day is the most important day. You set precedent on how the flip is going to go. So if you're here and you have a crew of people doing the demolition and you're moving quick and you have a lot of energy and fire and keep your guys accountable, I promise you that will make you more money than you ever capable of thought of. Because, I mean, if you run at a snail's pace, everybody around you will have that same mentality and run low. and touching back upon how to price things is, when you're pricing a floor job, you don't tell them, well, I'll pay you per square foot or whatever. That's okay. But per hour, that's not okay. And same thing with like the sheetrock. The sheetrock cost us $3,000 in this house. That's for labor and material. Well, we budgeted in the material and the labor cost, and we said we have to get it done in 4 days. And if you can't get it done in 4 days, we're going to dock you daily. So they either take your price or they don't take your price, or if they do it and it takes them 6 days, then you can start docking them. Now, a lot of times you give a little leeway of a day or two because construction is not always perfect. But if they start lingering around 6, 8, 10 days, then you start docking them. And that's how you hold them accountable. And always be ahead on work and behind on money. Don't pay them before they do the work, because that can really hurt you.
So another question I thought of, Paulie, how often do your workers, your guys that are actually in the house sawing and cutting away and putting things in, how often do they, when do they expect that you're going to show up?
They don't know when I'm going to show up. See, that's a great question. See, I don't have a set time when I show up, but I do show up, and you don't always have to be at your flip, but you better be at your flip on a continuous, maybe a daily or daily or like every 2-3 days at least. And you show up sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon. They don't know if you show up at the same time, same back channel, everybody's going to be here working. And then if they know as soon as you leave, and they could leave and slack off and whatever. With me, I just show up whenever I show up. They don't know when I'm going to show up. Sometimes in the afternoon, sometimes at lunch, sometimes in the morning, sometimes really late at night. And that keeps them guessing. And you always want to keep them guessing. And the more you build a relationship with them, the more at ease you feel too on your list. Because I know what my guys can do. I know what each and every crew member that I have, subcontractor and licensed contractor, I know what they're capable of doing, and you will start recognizing what they're capable of doing. Like I said earlier, you're not going to have your painter do framing, you know what I mean? And you'll understand. Some guys will work doing tiles, they could do floors, they could do some sheetrock work, they could do a little bit of, maybe do some trim work, so you'll understand who can do what, and you'll utilize them as needed, But when it comes to plumbing, this is very important. When it comes to plumbing, electrical and AC work, you better have the right people, because there's codes and violations, and if you don't do it by codes and violations, it's better to do it right first, and you don't have to start ripping out electrical after you're done. And then because the code and inspector tells you did it wrong and the guy wasn't licensed and he didn't understand how to do it correctly, and the plumbing is backing up because it wasn't installed right, and the P-trap is an S-trap, and the S-trap is not by code underneath the sink. And that's happened to us in the past. Now, how do you get to know this? Is by experience, going through this over and over. You're not going to know all of this overnight. It's overwhelming and it's scary, but you'll never learn unless you start. You have to start.
How important is it, Paulie, do you think, to having a mentor, someone that's more experienced than you, to help you through this process of learning this business?
I would say it's probably the most important thing. Having a mentor, I would say, is when I first, let me get to this really, this is really important.
We got 50 seconds left.
When I first started, I used to think the money was the most important thing. Now I know that that's not it. You'll get money. If the deal is right, people will invest their money and they'll get a great return. The most important thing is the knowledge and having a mentor that's done it. You can just pick up the phone and ask me what a roof costs, and if you measure it out, I'll tell you what you should pay for it. That's called knowledge, and that's called mentorship. And mentors are there to keep you safe. They're not necessarily going to make you all your money, because you make your money, but what they will do is keep you safe. And if someone's trying to rip you off, you know, you'll know it, and your mentor will know it, and it's, like I said, it's key.
How much have you spent on your education, rough? You've got 5 seconds.
$150,000 easy.
All right, guys. This is Phil Bungar. That was Paul Kazanowski with Revision Homes, teaching a student. Hope you guys enjoyed it.